Hi, my name is Andrea Buckley, and I am a licensed mental health therapist in the state of Michigan. And welcome to Connection Diaries. I'm so happy that you are here because we are at episode 4 of lessons that I've learned on my personal healing journey. And let me tell you, this has been really, really exciting and very vulnerable of an experience for me to dig deep and kind of identify key lessons that keep coming up time and time again as I continue to be in relationship with myself. As I detail these lessons, it does not necessarily mean that I got an A+ in these lessons or that I perfectly embody every single lesson, but it does mean that life has continuously, time and time again, shown me that these lessons are true and key, and they come up not only in my life personally, but also in the lives of many of the folks that I get to work with one on one. And so for today's video, since it is not only the last episode of our series, the last episode of our October series of lessons I've learned on my personal healing journey, it is also Halloween. So I'm a very silly, goofy person, and I wanted to play around with the theme of Halloween and talk about scary beliefs I used to have that prevented me from healing. And so it kind of still embodies the theme that we're working with, but I want to talk about beliefs that either I consciously had or subconsciously had. Sometimes we may believe things and we're like, oh, I don't believe that. Like, I'm good. I would never think that. But our actions, our actions show differently. So there's what we believe consciously and then what we believe subconsciously. And our subconscious is actually what dictates probably 90%, if not higher, of our decisions. And so again, you might find yourself asking yourself, like intellectually, I feel like I should do this, but I find myself practically doing something different. It may be because of a subconscious belief. So I'm just going to jump in and just share what's on my heart. And then I'll wrap us up and I will introduce you all to our November series, which I'm very, very excited about. All right, so let's jump in with the first scary belief. And it is like the juggler, the number one thing that has held me back and that continues to hold me back to this day. And that is the belief that either I am not enough or there is not enough. So basically, that belief is rooted in scarcity. It's this idea that, like, I am not good enough to do the things that I want to do, to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, to engage in the relationships that I want to engage in. And again, that belief has been in my life consciously and subconsciously, right? There's times where I say to myself, oh, yeah, of course I'm enough. Of course I know that I am worthy of love. But I've stayed in relationships that were not reflecting of that, or I stayed in situations that were not a reflection of that. So, what does that speak to? That speaks to a subconscious belief that I have that I am not enough for the love that I desire. Even though intellectually I might think that I am and I might say that I am, my actions are showing me differently. So that spoke to that subconscious belief. So that showed up in my dating life when it came to meeting new people, platonically even, that there's not enough people in the world and that who I am is not enough to even attract those people. And so that's a belief that has prevented me from healing because it's just not true. No matter how much I might feel it because of my past experiences, whether it be childhood or adulthood experiences that have been traumatic, I know that is not true, that I am enough, that there's more than enough love in this world, that there's more than enough people on this earth that will show me love, that I haven't met everyone in this world who will love me yet. And as long as I continue to reassure myself that, it helps me combat that subconscious belief of scarcity, that I'm not enough, that there's not enough, that I won't get enough. I've seen that in my business as well. Like I won't gain enough clients, right? I won't have enough people to stay to sustain myself, right? And that has also had its own barriers or issues. And sometimes it's not necessarily that we're not enough. Sometimes it's more so we have to be patient. We have to be gentle. We have to show ourselves grace. We have to allow things to play out, give them time, and then kind of move forward. But sometimes what happens is we'll judge our present circumstances and say, I don't have enough. I'm not enough. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough. I don't have the love that I want in my life. And that's it, period. Instead of saying, okay, I desire more love. I desire more platonic connection. I desire to be able to show up in my career in the way that I want. And how do I position myself to open myself up to that desire? Because there's plenty of folks in the world that would love to be in relationship with me because it's a blessing to be my friend, right? It's a blessing to come in contact with me because I believe that I am enough, right? Ooh, already 5 minutes in. I'm telling you, that's the juggler. That's the biggest lesson that has helped me, or the biggest belief, excuse me, that has helped me back is that I'm not enough or that there's not enough of what it is that I desire in the world. That's simply not true. So that's the first one. The second belief that has also held me back is this idea that love is chaotic. A lot of times, depending on how you're raised or where you grew up or any experiences that you have, we learn that like conflict is explosive and that, relationships are filled with like drama and, that this is just normal, that relationships are rooted in emotional unavailability and immaturity and all these different things. And if that's all you know growing up, all you witness, it becomes what is familiar and it becomes what you begin to embody when you go forth in your platonic and your romantic relationships in your adulthood. And so, and it's in our movies and in our media too, like this dramatic, like, ooh, this person doesn't want me, but I'm going to convince them to want me, and then they want me. Or ooh, I get to this big explosive fight, and then now we rush back and we make up and everything's great. Like that's the drama, right? That's what gets people to want to buy into whatever it is that is going on. And yeah, no, that's not cool. Healthy love is actually calm, it's actually peaceful, it's actually secure. When you are in a relationship where the love is healthy, conflict actually brings you closer to that person because now I know what you need, you know what I need, and we move forward. It's not something that's explosive. It's not something where now I feel bad about myself or you're criticizing me or now I feel like, I need to isolate myself or, all these different things. It shouldn't be something that is this, again, explosive, chaotic, dramatic thing that you see in the movies. It's something where it's like conflict is just a mismatch of needs. So it's like you need something, I need something, we're not on the same page. So how do we navigate this and move through it together to make sure that we're both supported? So that is a belief that I had to unlearn, this idea that love is chaotic. And did I go around saying like, oh, love is chaotic? No. It was a subconscious belief and it showed up in my relationships, right? It showed up in the behaviors that I allowed in my life, the behaviors that I didn't set boundaries around because my subconscious belief was this is just what it is. This is how it goes. Like, right? Like everybody does this. It's what we see in the movies, right? And it's like, no, that's not how it goes. That's not what how it should be. That's not what supports me having a healthy relationship with myself. If I have to deny my needs, if I can't communicate effectively, if I can't share my emotions without it turning into an explosive event, that does not create the beautiful love story and the intimacy and the vulnerability that I genuinely desire. Not only that I desire, but that I'm wired for. So yeah, healthy love is not chaotic. Healthy love maybe also will also maybe feel boring depending on your upbringing and depending on past situations. And so that is another scary belief that I embodied mostly on a subconscious level. Another belief, which is kind of connected to that belief, is the idea that conflict is bad, that conflict is a scary thing, that conflict is something that I should avoid. Because if I get into conflict, that means either I'm a bad person instead of I maybe did something or made a mistake. It means I'm a bad person. It means that this relationship might end. It means that I might, be criticized or ridiculed, or it means that, I might just be in a situation where I feel extremely just disconnected from that person, right? And so, because we are creatures who enjoy attachment, we try to avoid anything that may disrupt that, even at the detriment of our own selves. And so, that's why you hear people say things like, oh, I don't like conflict, I don't like confrontation. When really, conflict, as I mentioned before, is just a mismatch of needs. I want to go to Chipotle, you want to go to Qdoba. That's a conflict, right? And how are we going to move through this, making sure that both of our needs are met? And I know that's like a small example, but you get what I'm saying. And so, what I've learned and what I've even experienced is that conflict, again, it could be a very intimate experience. It can be a space where I can lay myself bare if it's an emotionally safe environment and say, hey, like, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I feel is missing. And then the other person on the other side of the conflict can say the same thing. And because of that, we grow closer because now I feel like you see me, you witness me, and you allowed me to really advocate for myself without making it about you, without making it personal, without gaslighting me, without making me feel small, without making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. So if your conflict is something that disconnects you from whoever it is you're having a conflict with, or doesn't bring you closer to that person, if it's something that's explosive, if it's something that, you kind of like, oh, I want to stay away from, it may be because of a subconscious belief that you have that conflict is bad, that expressing your needs is bad, that if someone says that they have a need, that means that I'm doing something wrong and I'm deficient. So many different layers. So we'll talk more about that on this channel because conflict is just a natural part of life and it's a natural part of relationships. And if we do not know how to navigate it well, we will not be able to experience vulnerability, intimacy, the connection that we desire. So, I'm so excited. This video is going to be a little bit longer because there's so many beliefs that are stuck in our subconscious that, again, hold us back from actually healing. The next belief I want to talk about that I learned on a subconscious level that you may also resonate with is this idea of ignoring my body's cues. Somewhere down the line, I was taught to disconnect from my body, to not trust my body, that my body was not good, right? And as a result, that caused me to subconsciously believe that wisdom doesn't really reside here. And I just push past it for the sake of whatever the outcome I'm trying to achieve instead of using my body to guide me towards what it is that I'm supposed to be, focused on in that moment. So for example, if my body says rest, I need to rest. If my body says eat, I need to eat. If my body says that, you know, this feels off, maybe it feels off. Sometimes we learn not to trust ourselves because we may say that, oh, you're just being too sensitive or you're doing too much or, all the different things. But what if it's okay to trust our bodies? And if you are a survivor of trauma, you may have learned that that was not true. And so subconsciously, you may believe that I cannot trust my body. And that limits the amount of pleasure that you can experience in your body. It limits, just your relationship to your body. And so that may impact how you show up in nutrition or how you show up when you think about like your movement practices, how you show up when you think about just your relationship to your emotions. Because sometimes our bodies are telling us like, hey, I feel sad. Hey, I feel anxious. And we run for like a snack when our body is not necessarily telling us to do that. And other times we ignore, we're at the computer doing our whatever we're doing, and we ignore our body's cues. Hey, go get your snack. You're hungry. So I don't know. I guess what I'm just trying to say is like slow down, listen to your body, allow it to have the wisdom that it has. And I found that that's something that is extremely helpful, but subconsciously, we are taught not to trust our bodies. We're taught to push through it, tough through it, right? Like push past the pain, just do it, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, all those different things. And that leads to unhealthy outcomes. And that has been my story. And so now what I try to tell myself is trust your body. Okay, you feel a little tension. How can you give yourself space to surrender? Okay, you feel emotional. I feel that typically in my chest. How can I tune into that part of me? Okay, you're feeling hungry. How can I stop to eat? How can I give myself permission to go to the bathroom? These are small things, but I'm telling you, these are things that we ignore every day. So that's something I want to throw out there. Scary belief that keeps you from healing. The last thing I'll talk about, and I have a list, but I might have to do a part 2 for this video. But I think I'll end with this one. I have it on my little piece of paper. But the last one I'll talk about is this idea that achievement is the most important thing in life. If I'm not achieving something, I don't feel good about myself. If I'm not going to the next level, I don't feel good about myself. And that will destroy you. Because we live in a capitalist world, a lot of us are taught that our worth is connected to what we can produce. And I say, no, your worth is connected to you being a human being. And so, how can you give yourself permission to even learn who you are outside of your achievements, your degrees, your job, all of the different things that you've accomplished? A lot of times we hide behind those things. And I've met a lot of people who have all of these accolades, but inside they feel empty because they believe subconsciously that achievement is the most important thing in life. And no one's going to say that maybe out loud, right? But subconsciously, those beliefs are guiding their actions. That's why I can't set boundaries at work. That's why I overwork and don't spend time with my kids. That's why, I go and get degree after degree after degree, certification after certification after certification. That's why, instead of doing and taking time to just go play or read or do the things I love, I'm answering emails, in times that I shouldn't be answering emails because subconsciously I believe that achievement is the most important thing in life. And so, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for just kind of being along for this journey. I wanted to just go over again scary beliefs that have held me back from my healing journey. And this is just scratching the surface, okay? And again, these are things that are embedded in our subconscious. You may be like, Drew, you don't believe that. You don't think that. It ain't about what I say, it's about what I do. What actions have you seen? I mean, y'all probably haven't seen everything, but you get what I'm saying. Like, what actions do you see in your life? And how do your subconscious beliefs hold you back? Because that is what's motivating you the majority of the time, not what you know intellectually. So for this particular video, I'll put some journaling prompts in the caption so you can begin to chew on some of these concepts and digest them a little bit more. Sometimes we'll hear a thing and be like, okay, that's cool. She said some things, but now I want you to apply them to your life. To journal, which is a self-intimacy practice, which means you're just sitting with yourself, you're asking yourself questions, you're getting curious about what's happening in your internal world. And I would love to learn what you get from that experience. So if you could like, comment, and subscribe and share this video, I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning into this particular series, my October series. If you haven't already, go back and watch episode 3, episode 2, and episode 1, and be on the lookout for an introduction to our November series, which will also include 4 episodes. And I'm really, really excited. I've been asking folks on different platforms any questions they have about loneliness culture, relationship culture, mental health, connection, anything of that nature. And I will be answering those questions in November. So if you have some questions, feel free to put them either in the comments of this video, send me an email, a message, social media, whatever. I'll put all that information in the comments, and I would love to just chill with you all as we go into the fall season and answer all the questions that come up in my November series. So always remember that you are loved, you are enough, and stay inspired.